there's a reason why Paramount is about to end up making Power Rangers great again in 2026 because everything from Jinzaku, Daniel Radcliffe, and all the other sources pretty much confirmed of what we all know about for the last 5 years of this reboot, changing from this to that and that to this. And for the most part, a lot of us at least want some content out of this Mighty Morphin reboot, which I know for a fact Paramount is going to do some fantastic jobs on this franchise. With all the money that they got, we got it. So 2026, we are eating good right now. But in 2025, we are definitely getting some big news. The more I see something on Twitter, I'm going to do a video on it regardless of how much of a fan I am of this franchise, the one that I grew up with the most. And listen, I'll be 34 next month, and I still love Power Rangers, so what? Any adult fan will tell you the exact same thing that they grew up on, whether it's Ninja Turtles, Thundercats, SpongeBob, Undertaker, WWE. Like, we all have something that we grew up with as children, but as adults, yes, it's bad nowadays, but guess what? They were still part of my childhood regardless. So, shout out to the fan club. Let's see what this video hitting on.
So last week I was going through a list of the highest grossing media franchises and Power Rangers popped up in there. They are in the top 50, outselling the Fast and the Furious, X-Men, Sesame Street, and more. We're going to open this up.
What? They're outselling Fast and the Furious, X-Men. Bro, are you telling me that once Paramount buys Power Rangers, like the full media rights as far as like entertainment, games, comics, etc., we set in 2025, but the fact that we surpassed the Fast and the Furious franchise, I never thought I'd see the day that we actually see this. That is crazy. That's nuts.
Numbers come to be? Are they old numbers? Are they new numbers? What do the newer numbers look like? Let's talk about it, break it down, hit that intro, Rangers. You are watching the Fan Club.
You're watching the Fan Club.
And you're watching the Fan Club. Do you know what time it is? And you know what time it is. It's time for the Fan Club. Let's go. Hey! I can't do this on my own, cause you know things ain't always sweet when you out here in these streets. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Fan Club. It is your boy Dan Brosnan in the building. Welcome to the show. We are happy to have you. We have a fun episode for you. Like I said in the intro, I was chilling looking at this list of the highest grossing media franchises. I noticed the number one was Pokemon, and they're killing everybody, man. They are a mile ahead of the number two. I think it's Mickey, but I was scrolling on down and I noticed that Power Rangers was on this list. So they have the list divided into 5 sections. The $50 billion plus group, the heavy hitters, the 20 to 50 billion, the 10 to 19 billion, then the 5 to 9 billion, and the 2 to 4 billion. I mean, even if your brand is in the 2 to 4 billion, that is freaking awesome.
Wow.
But if you look on this list, Power Rangers is actually in the 5 to 9 billion. I think it comes in
Hold up.
number.
I didn't even notice all of this. From 2012 to 2018, 2.479 billion. Jesus Christ, bro. That is insane, Mo. I mean, despite everything that we've been through with the dark days of the Neo Saban era, at least it was still selling like crazy because of the fans, the kids. But the fact that Power Rangers is still the top selling franchises in the world, it really goes to show you that this franchise is not going to die. And I hope to God when I'm able to live another 5 years to see Power Rangers back to its glory days, I'll be the happiest man in the world.
So they are in the top 50, and it says Super Sentai / Power Rangers, but when we break down the numbers, all of the numbers here are for Power Rangers sales. I do wonder if you added Super Sentai numbers from Japan added onto this, how much more money they really made. But to my knowledge, all of these numbers are corresponding with Power Rangers, and let's look at it. So Power Rangers as a brand is almost done. 9 billion. It's 8.67 billion. They have made more money than Lord of the Rings, X-Men, DC Extended Universe, Fast and the Furious, Pirates of the Caribbean, Sesame Street, Madden, Superman. Yes, folks, Power Rangers.
Ain't no daggone way. Madden? Like Madden NFL? I know you lying. I know you lying. Because last year we didn't get no Power Rangers content at all. And yet, we got Power Rangers on Heroku, Tubi, YouTube. So it's fans that are still showing Power Rangers some love after 32 years. But I didn't think that Madden was going to be passed by the Power Rangers, Fast and the Furious, as well as Lord of the Rings. Oh, this is nuts. For real, though? Make your money, Power Rangers. We back. We back.
Money than Superman, but I will say that Superman came out so long ago that everything was cheaper back then. So if you did have to accommodate for inflation, those numbers might be different. They've made more money than Shrek, Halo, Ice Age, Sonic the Hedgehog, My Little Pony. That's interesting. More money than Scooby-Doo and Yu-Gi-Oh! And Mortal Kombat. That is a heavy hitter. And I see why somebody would want to come by and grab this. Now, how do we make all this money? A lot of it is 8.47 billion came from licensed merchandise. So when we click this, it says Power Rangers licensed toy sales from 93 to 99 was 6 billion wholesale revenue. That is absolutely insane. So yes, they did most of their numbers in their heyday from 93 to 99, but that is still crazy to think that they did 6 billion in what, like in 6 years, pretty much like $1 billion a year. Holy moly. Now we don't have the Hasbro numbers. I would be super curious to see what those look like. But let's look at some Neo Saban numbers. Power Rangers licensed merchandise sales during 2012 to 2018 was 2.479 billion. In 2012, they made 300 million. In 2013, they made 333 million. 2014, they made 326 million. 2015, they made 330 million. And then from 2016 to 2017, they did 909 million, almost a bill from 2016 to 2017. They were really pushing the movie and those shows at the time. They had a stranglehold.
But too bad the show sucked. I'm just saying.
I remember from like 2016, 2017, maybe even 2018, I saw kids rocking Power Rangers stuff again. But then in 2018, it took a big dump and they only did 281 comparable to like the few years before. That is not very good. And then they sold the brand. Now we don't know what Power Rangers was making under Hasbro yearly, but even if they were making like 200 million to 300 million, what the lower numbers were for Saban, they probably made their money back by now. So that was something that I thought of right away. And then they made a lot of money from DVD and Blu-ray, but not as much as you think. Now, I'm not sure if these numbers are just the digital for like Amazon.
So, June 13th, 2017, the Power Rangers made what? 15 million? So, that's pretty much the highest, along with Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the complete series. So, that's like two of the biggest numbers, the 15 million and the 1 million. That's nuts.
All that type of stuff. Does this account for the DVD sales, like physical? And one thing that I do see here is right in the middle, June 13, 2017, they did 15 million in Amazon, iTunes, Google, and Vudu. Was that from the movie? Or was that like all the Power Ranger sales for that time? That's interesting. But then you do have like the Dino Supercharged Complete Collection, stuff like that coming out, but we don't have numbers for everything. The fact they did $15 million in sales in June, I think that was for the movie. It had to be. They must have like put that out and the fans ran to it. So that stands out to me and shows that if you put something out that the fans will get around, they'll not only watch the movie, but they'll run those numbers up on digital. So I don't think that that includes the DVD sales. Tell me if I'm wrong, guys. And then we go on over to the box office. Now, we haven't been super productive with Power Ranger movies in the past, but I did want to go on over here and check out the movies. Now, I don't see the Turbo movie. We know they didn't make a lot of money on that.
Because
maybe that's why they didn't include that. But the first movie, it says worldwide box office 37 million off of it. Now, I thought they made a little bit more, but maybe that's all they made off it, 37 million. Now, I think they did like double or at least triple their budget, but to some people it was a success, to some people it wasn't. I think it was a bigger success when it came to VHS sales and toy sales from the movie, but it made enough money back because they went for a sequel. They went for the Turbo one, and kind of wish they didn't. That's not even on this list. But the Power Rangers 2017 movie was not as bad as...
Trash. I'm sorry, the movie trash, Mo. Because just like the Turbo movie, the 2017 movie was not even about Mighty Morphin. It wasn't even about Power Rangers at all. It focused too much on the teenagers instead of having Ranger action. And the Zords were terrible. The costumes sucked. But not only that, but it was just a boring film. I'm sorry. To some, it may not be a good / bad Power Rangers movie, but to me, it was all the way bad from beginning to end. Yes, it made its money in the box office, but it didn't really do that much, so they hope. But at the same time, it was just not good. For you 2017 Power Ranger fans out there that sees this video, don't be mad at me when I'm speaking facts. The movie sucked because it didn't really feel like a Power Rangers movie. It sucked because it lacked Power Rangers action, Tokusatsu action. I can say this all the time.
Not good. Even if they made 200 million, they still might have not got a sequel. Now, I think they might have because that was 60 million more than they made. However, some movies want you to make like 250, 300, so it actually makes sense to put all the money into another one, right? Especially now. I think a few years ago, some of these companies and these studios had more money to throw around, but because less people go to the actual movie theater, they are kind of being hesitant on what they are choosing. But overall, Power Rangers is a top 50 most gross brand when it comes to media in America, at least. Now, I know it says Super Sentai, but there aren't any numbers on here that say Super Sentai. All of the numbers are for the Power Ranger merchandise, the Power Ranger DVDs, and the Power Ranger movies in America. Well, then, of course, the worldwide box office. Sorry about that. You do got to throw that in there. So it's interesting that we had a hiatus here that felt like nobody wanted to touch Power Rangers, and then out of the blue, it seems like Paramount wants to get their hands dirty. Hasbro actually wants to resurrect this brand. And why is that? Because this brand has been known to make billions and billions of dollars back in the day. But we've talked about one of the biggest problems with Power Rangers is its identity. They continued for years and years to make the same exact show that we grew up on. However, the big problem with that is kids today don't really like that show. They like all this new stuff because it's a new generation of kids, right? Power Rangers need to change for those kids or change for the adults. Us adults that grew up watching Power Rangers, we still watch other superhero shows, but they are for adults now. They're for an older audience. Power Rangers never grew, so they didn't grow with the older demographic, and they didn't get younger for the youth. You got to remember, every 4 to 5 years, there's a new era of children, right? Those 5-year-olds become 10-year-olds fast, and those babies become 5-year-olds fast, and they like new things. Power Rangers was pretty much the same thing forever, and the reason why we liked it back in the day was because it was fun, and it was new, and it was for that generation of kids. I think they need to figure out how to do both, how to make for the older generation so we can bring back our pocketbooks and our wallets, but then you're able to get the young generation and get them hooked to something. That's why we talked about, like a PBS style show, CGI, Paw Patrol, Spidey and His Amazing Friends on Disney Plus style show. That would be great for Power Rangers because there's so many characters introduce, and you can show the new generation all of these awesome characters and then use that money to give the older fans something that they want. But what are your thoughts? Do you think this is pretty cool that Power Rangers is still in the top 50 most grossed media brands? Let me know in the comments.
Look, shout out to the fan club once again, and I'm glad that Power Rangers is still top filling most gross sales of all time, because without Power Rangers we wouldn't have nothing. We would have stuck with, with the Marvel stuff like Spider-Man, X-Men, DC's Batman, Superman movies and video games, and you can't forget about the Ninja Turtles as well, because I grew up with it as well. But for Power Rangers though, I feel like what Paramount is going to end up doing is making Power Rangers great again because of two things: adapting many more for Power Rangers and put out a possible animation series done right. Because if you want to appeal to a mature audiences, you have to change up how you do Power Rangers instead of continuing to do all of this stuff you've been doing for 32 years, as far as like the cheese and the campy and the corny. Yes, it made Power Rangers it made Power Rangers popular back then, but we as adults want change. And I know for a fact that Paramount was going to end up giving us all of that change if they're willing to do it. So the only thing we can do is just wait and see, because like I said in my what to expect video, you're going to expect some big announcements from Hasbro, Paramount, and Playmates Toys. First look at the MMPR toy line from Playmates Toys, as well as the Power Rangers Prime comics to see the fully revealed Rangers. So you're going to expect to see all of that in the future in 2025. So yeah, I'm glad that Power Rangers is still making this money. It's still one of the top 50 brands as far as like gross of all time. And yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. Link to the original video will be down below.